In this video, I am teaching you the difference between the independent clause and dependent clause. We also call them main clause or subordinate clause. Let's go to the deeper explanation. Sometimes in writing class, we call independent clause IC and dependent clause DC. Before we go into the usage, I just want you to read sentence from number 1 to number 6. Number 1, the students must obey the school regulation. Number 2, when they are in campus. Number 3, as soon as he gives me permission. Number 4, before the bell rings. Number 5, all students must wear the ID card. Number 6, I will go with you. So what can you notice all the 6 sentences? You will tell me that some sentences are long and some sentences are short. Actually, we focus on the rule. We can check the rule altogether. So, let's tell me which sentence is IC and which sentence is DC. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. Okay, let's check the answer. Number 1 is IC, number 2 is DC, number 3 is DC, number 4 is DC, number 5 is IC, and number 6 is IC. So now let's come to the formula. So what is a component of main or independent clause in English? First, you have to understand what does IC mean. IC means that subject plus verb and plus complete thought. So it is a combination between subject, verb, and complete thought. So look at sentence number 1. The students obey the school regulation. Sentence number 2. The teachers and students obey the school regulation. Sentence number 3. The teacher obey and respects the school regulation. Number 3. This teacher obeys and respects the school regulation. Number 4. The teacher and student obey and respect the school regulation. So what can you see the difference between? So what can you see in each sentence? Okay, like sentence number 1, we have one subject plus one verb and plus complete thought. Sentence number 2, we have 2 subjects, teachers and students, and one verb. In sentence number 3, we have one subject and we have 2 verbs, obey and respects. Number 4, we have 2 subjects and 2 verbs and one complement. So make sure that in your IC and especially in your writing class, you should have these formulas for writing by using the SV formula, SSV, SVV, SSVV. If you use this kind of sentence into your writing will be great and your teacher will be very happy to correct you because your writing is very beautiful. So, what is a subordinate or dependent clause? As we talked previously that dependent clause is called DC in writing. So what is a subordinate or dependent clause? So a subordinate or dependent clause, it is a combination between conjunctive adverb plus subject and plus verb, but not a complete thought. Let's read sentence number 1. After the school opens. So it is not complete. You see, after is a conjunctive, the school is a subject, and opens is a verb. Number 2, as soon as he gives. It is also a subordinate or dependent clause. It doesn't give the full information as sentence number 1. 2. Sentence number 3, before he has lunch. So what will he do before he has lunch or after he has lunch? It is not a complete sentence. So when it is not a complete sentence, we call it a subordinate or dependent clause. Number 4, while the cat's away. It is also a dependent clause. So what can we get when IC plus DC. So we have two formula here, IC plus DC or DC plus comma and plus IC. So please read example number 1, IC plus DC. It gives me a lot of advice before I do the test. And now please read sentence number 2, DC plus comma plus IC. Before I do the test, he gives me a lot of advice. You see what's the difference? In here we can talk about the position. So in the complete sentence, we have two positions. Position number 1 is IC plus DC, and position number 2 is DC plus comma and plus IC. But you have to remember that when your formula is DC plus comma plus IC, the word before become the capitalization. So you have to write it in big instead of writing in lowercase letter. And after the subordinate clause, you must put comma, and then you complete the sentence with the IC. Okay, so the answer is that when IC plus DC or DC plus commas plus IC, we can get a full complete sentence. So let's read again. He gives me a lot of advice before I do the test. And number 2, before I do the test, he gives me a lot of advice. And thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you understand the sentence clearly. If you are still in doubt, please comment and I will explain you more in the comment. Thank you.